Welcome to Claire's Universe.
Claire's Universe.
Claire's Universe.
Claire's Universe. Claire's Universe.
Claire's Universe.
Claire's Universe. Claire's Universe.
Claire's Universe.
Claire's Universe. Claire's Universe. Claire's Universe. Hey guys, it's Claire, and I haven't done a sit-down video in a hot minute, but I had a story time that I just have to get off my chest. And I want to say it before I forget, and also I want this to be the last time I talk about this because this story literally gives me PTSD. And I was thinking I am close with a lot of people, and a lot of people have been asking about this situation. And by doing this, I can just send this out to people, and I don't have to tell the story anymore. So I'm sorry if this is really jumbled. I'm also knitting because it's helping me focus. And I also just don't want to think about this because it literally makes me upset. But this is the best way for everyone who needs to know. And I'm sorry if it's a little jumbled. I've literally told the story 100 times. And it makes me really anxious, so we love that. But from the title and thumbnail, you can kind of guess what this is about. I'm gonna let you kind of figure it out, but I am gonna start from the very beginning and I'm just gonna get into it. So, I had a boyfriend this past semester. I know, right? Shocking. He was actually real, really creepy, but he was real. I feel like Tana Mongoose.
He fucked me with a toothbrush.
So we met on Bumble, and I hadn't had the best luck with dating apps, but I was like, I'll give it one more try. And I swiped on this guy, and he swiped back with me. So we started talking, and we were talking on the phone every single day on FaceTime. Well, WhatsApp, because he doesn't have an iPhone. But we were talking like every single day. And after like a week or two, I started really falling in love with him. And if you know me, it's odd because I hate human beings with all of my heart. If I tell you I love you, I really mean it because like I just don't enjoy human contact. He lives in Florida. He was originally from Indianapolis, and you guys know I live in Indiana. So he came back on vacation and that's how we matched. But he lived in Florida and we were thinking, oh, well, like he should come up and see me, right? Don't do that, guys. Just don't do that. So we worked it out to where he was gonna fly into the airport when my mother was getting back from Mexico, and they were gonna drive to my house together. All of the flights from Mexico and Dallas were canceled, and my mother didn't get home until a day later. So he's like, I'll just Uber, it's fine. And I was like, we can pick you up, it's gonna be really expensive. And he was like, no, I'll Uber. He gets in, I'm gonna say it because I know we're at a Christian school and we could lose funding for this, but also my parents buy my alcohol, and so I'm also 21, so I'm gonna do what I want to do. But I was at a bar with one of my friends who will remain nameless, and I want to say at this point, if I hadn't already put a disclaimer, please, if you were one of my friends who had a panic attack during this experience, do not watch this video. I do not want you guys to get even more upset. I was at a bar with one of my friends. It was about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and he calls me when he gets in from his flight, and he says, the Uber's too expensive, come pick me up. And I was like, okay, like, obviously I was a little upset because it's really late at night and I was out drinking, and I was under the impression that he would take care of it because he said he would. And I was like, okay, we'll go pick you up. And if you know me, I don't drive on the interstate. So my friend drives on the interstate, right? We're driving on the interstate. Every 5 minutes, I get a phone call. Are you here yet? Are you here yet? Just like really pissed off or really like agitated and like kind of taking it out on me. And I was like, no, it takes an hour to get there. I told you this before you got on the plane. So you would have needed to work this out previously. And he just like keeps bitching about it. So we get to the airport finally, and it's separated by gate. And I know the Indy airport, it's not too big. It's actually really small. But if you've ever been to an airport, you know that the pickup line is impossible to get through. And he's at this point screaming at us on the phone to honk our horn and flash our lights because he won't wave at us so we know it's him and we can tell him to come to the car. So we're obviously very pissed off at this point. He keeps walking away from the car, blah, blah, blah. Finally, we get him in the car and he doesn't want to sit by me. He wants me to sit in the front and he can sit in the back. And I was going to sit in the back with him because that's kind of what you do when your significant other comes into town and you haven't seen them in a while. And in that case, it was the first time we ever met. And so he gave off a really horrible impression. So I get in the back seat and I'm like, wow, you smell from the airport. Like your breath smells from the airport. And he's like trying to kiss me. And I'm like, no. And at this point, I had never kissed a straight boy before. I've kissed gay guys. I've kissed lesbians. I've kissed straight girls. Never kissed a straight guy, and it just was not a good experience. And afterwards I was like, my lips are tingling, and I think it was because his breath smelled so bad. But I told him, I was like, I don't really want to kiss right now, blah blah blah, because if you know me, I hate human contact. So for me to kiss a human being and it not be a joke like it always is, not my thing. And so he keeps complaining and like telling my friend he would rather kiss her and that he would rather sleep in her bed because I wasn't giving him attention. And so my friend's driving, I'm sitting there in silence because I'm just really embarrassed he's being such an asshole, and I thought that was going to be the extent of that. But he literally was like, turns to my friend in the front seat and was like, can I ask you how big your boobs are? And I'm like, you can't ask that question. Like, I am a pretty open book. Like, if that's a question you've known someone for a while and they're comfortable with you, I'm like, yeah, ask those questions. I don't really care. But the first time you're meeting me, you're asking my best friend how big her boobs are. No, not gonna fly with me. And I sit in the car. I'm like, you can't say that. And he's like, what? I can see her eyes in the rear view and they're really pretty. I'm like, you kind of can't say that either after you just like were creepy and hitting on her. And she looks at me through the rear view and she realizes he's talking about her. And she gets really uncomfortable and she's trying to like be like, oh, we live at a Christian school, like you can't come sleep in my room, like all this stuff, because she didn't want that to happen. She's also talking to somebody right now. Regardless if she was, she didn't want to be part of that. And so we get back to my house, and originally he was gonna sleep in my bed with me, which my dad did not want at first, and I can see why, but I thought it was gonna be fine. Because I've had many boys stay in my house before in my bed, but never as like a boyfriend thing. They've all been my friends. Like Jeremiah and Miles spend the night at my house all the time, like while my parents are home, and they're like literally my brothers. But I've never had like a boyfriend spend the night, and so he got really worried about that. And so my brother goes out into the living room with him. They're talking about video games. I get a call from my friend who just dropped us off. She's having a panic attack and she's like, I don't want you staying in the house with him. Like, I'm really, really uncomfortable. I don't want to wear the outfit I was going to wear to the escape room the next day. And I'm like, okay, we'll see how it goes tomorrow. And if there's a problem, I'm kicking him out because I'm uncomfortable too. So we get back into my room and he's literally being an asshole. He was bringing food in the room, which was fine. I don't mind if people eat in my bed. He wouldn't sit on the side against the wall because I was already sitting down on my bed. And he's like, move, move, move. And I'm like, you can just sit on the side of the wall. Like, it's fine. And he's like complaining, whatever. So I move over and he keeps trying to touch me. And back to the human contact thing. I just don't like being touched. Unless your name is Snickers, I don't like being touched. Keeps touching me, whatever. I am getting super uncomfortable. And finally, I'm like ready to go to bed. So I get in my spot that I'm gonna sleep in. And I have a routine that I do when I go to bed. So I turn on my YouTube videos. I usually watch a bunch of like Dylan is in trouble videos to help me go to sleep. Usually, if not every night, like 3 or 4 times a week, I'm watching his videos to go to sleep. So I'm trying to turn Dylan on. I'm uncomfortable. My boyfriend at the time, keeps trying to rub my back and like my shoulders, and I just am so uncomfortable. And I'm not saying anything. So yeah, I was violated, but I also didn't say anything. So 50-50 right there. He finally, after like an hour, realizes I'm uncomfortable and I'm not able to fall asleep. He goes, should I move to the couch? And I said, yes, please move to the couch. So he moves to the couch and I still can't even go to sleep that night. I don't think I went to bed till like 2, not even 2, like 4 a.m. because I was just really uncomfortable. And I almost went and slept in my dad's bed with him. Like, I was that uncomfortable. And so we wake up the next morning. I woke up before him. I start playing chess with my dad because I'm really uncomfortable. And I'm like, how do I tell him how to get out of the house? So like my dad's like, you can't do that. He literally flew all this way to come see you. And I'm like, but his actions, just like, you can't treat my friends like that. And we were like, okay, well, we're going to give it today and make a decision. So I'm playing chess with my dad. He finally wakes up. And I had told him previously that we had to leave at noon because our escape room was at 1. And if you ever done an escape room, you have to be there like 20 minutes early. And also we were 30 minutes away from the escape room. So he knew in advance, before he even got on a plane, what time he needed to be ready to leave for the escape room. I'm playing chess. It's about 11:20ish, and I am winning, and my dad's getting ready to come back and win against me. And he says, beat my hoe. My dad didn't hear it. I heard it. I was really uncomfortable. So it's 11:55, and he's making an omelet, and I said, we have to go. Like, you don't have time to do that. We have to go to campus to pick everybody up. And just being super rude about it. So we get in my car and I bring up the chess conversation with him. Oh, I forgot. The night before I had brought up the thing with my friend about how he made her uncomfortable, and he was laughing about it and being really immature and like not understanding that he was being a major douche and a major creepo. So I reminded him again in the car. I was like, you need to apologize to her because that was uncalled for. And after I brought up the chess thing, he starts screaming at me. And he's like, that never happened. I don't know where you got that from. Stop putting words in my mouth. Like, you're like stupid. I don't remember all the words he said because I tried to block this out. But he was basically just saying that that never happened. And I was like, I could have easily heard differently. But like, what did you say? And he like was trying to pretend that that didn't happen. So it could have easily been something else, but with the way he was acting, I was like, that's definitely what you said. We get to the school, we're picking up my friends, we go to the escape room, and every single like escape room I do with my friends, we take them really seriously. Like, we love doing escape rooms. He keeps pressing the emergency exit and joking like, we got out. And every time someone would solve a clue or try to solve a clue, he would push them out of the way and be like, move, it's my clue. And we're like, okay. And so my friend, who is the same size as I am, so bigger, gets underneath this car because we're doing the race room. And he keeps staring at her through the hood of the car, being like, are you sure you're not gonna get stuck? Like, just being really creepy. And he kept touching all of my friends during the escape room. And they were all super uncomfortable. The girls who had their boyfriends there were on top of their boyfriends because they were so uncomfortable. And so one of my other friends actually got underneath the car with her and told her privately that he thought she was gonna get stuck, and like he was worried about her and that guy being creepy about it. And she's like, yeah, I know. And then we get out of the escape room, and at that point, I don't want to be alone with this guy. We weren't going to go do anything else originally, but I was like, I have to go out to eat because like I don't want to be with him. And so we're in the lobby of the escape room trying to figure out where to go eat and stuff. He tries to lay his head on my shoulder after flirting with all my friends. So I literally go on one of my guy friends, like getting super close to him, like closer than I would ever get to him because we're not close. We're also not in a relationship. So I'm like, yeah, no. And I apologized immediately after. I'm like, thank you for letting me like get up on you for a minute because no, that was gross. We're like, I don't care where we go eat. A lot of my friends and my like really close friend groups, like we don't care. Like we're pretty much like go with the flow people. So if someone says we're gonna go here, we're like, cool. And we just deal with it. And so they all wanted to go to Shake Shack. So we get out of the car after driving to Shake Shack and in the parking lot. And he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna eat here. I don't like fast food. Like complaining after we already got there. And everyone's like, okay. Like we could have had this discussion before we drove over here. And so we decided to go to Applebee's. And so Applebee's is really bad with large parties, and they put us at different tables, and I didn't want to sit by him. So I'm sitting across from him from another table, and he is sitting there with his hood up and his mask on and not interacting with anyone. And he literally had to buy a shot, which he did not take very well, to be able to talk to my friends. And mind you, this whole time did not offer to buy me anything, offered to buy my best friend and my roommate food and drinks. And so my best friend ended up buying me my margarita. At that point, I was over it. I got a mood show because I was so done. Like, so done. And so after Applebee's, we go back to my house. I was like, guys, I don't want to be alone with him. So I convinced some more of my friends who weren't in that original group to come back to the house with my best friend as well, who he gave several panic attacks. So we go back to my house, we play games, and one of my friends texts me, and while he's over there, like, we're literally 2 feet apart. I don't like him. I want you guys to get out of this house. Like, this is not cool. And we're like, okay. So I go out into the living room after he leaves, and my best friend and my roommate are in there talking to him, and I'm out talking to my parents because my parents and I have had a bit of a rough time with our relationship. And so I was talking to my mother about our relationship as well as the boy who I did not want to be with anymore. And they were like, you can't kick him out. Like, he flew all this way still after like how we treated my friends. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm still gonna have to break up with him because I don't want to be in a relationship with him. Like, he can stay, I just don't want to be in a relationship with him, like, at the very least. And so finally my friend comes out of my room and she's like, he's actually being really sweet, asking how we can cheer you up. I go back in the room. I'm literally holding, I gotta find him. This is Byron. I was literally holding him like this, going, I don't like emotion, as I was trying to break up with this guy. Takes it surprisingly well for how immature he is, because I don't think it's changed after a couple weeks, but he takes it very well. I walk out of the room to go update my parents because we were getting ready to go to one of my favorite bars. Like, we're gonna go out, we're gonna have fun. I find out he literally turns to my best friend and goes, I'm glad that happened. I really want to bang you. Like, 2 days ago you were telling me you loved me and now you want to hook up with my friend. Like, make it make sense. So we go out and we go to one of my favorite bars, and one of the bartenders there is really attractive. She's gonna watch this and be like, well, God, okay. Anyways, she's really attractive. I was so excited. We were gonna have fun, and we get there. He starts hitting on the bartender, saying he wants to share a cookie with her, and then hitting on my friend again. And so he starts like grabbing my friend's leg and like being really creepy. And so she goes outside, and I realize it's been like 5 minutes. She doesn't come back out. So I go and check on her, and she's having a panic attack, like full on. Like, she literally she actually does have a lot of like health issues. She has seizures a lot, and I don't know all the medical terms, but if she triggers herself into like such a bad panic attack where she gets a seizure, she has to get infusions at the hospital. So we almost had to take her to the hospital that night. So I'm outside trying to calm her down. I'm like, well, you get situated enough to where we can get in a car because you can't drive, but I'm gonna drive. Like, I sobered up so quick. I was like, it's go time because you don't mess with my friends. I'm like, okay, we gotta figure out what to do. He keeps trying to come outside and see if she's okay, thumbing up through the window. Faith's in there playing foosball with him and has no idea what's going on because she doesn't pick up on social cues. My friend's having a panic attack. I say, hey, you need to call our other friend on the phone right now because I need to go pay the tab and I'm not leaving you out here alone. So she calls our other friend who is at the escape room, picks up after one ring, and was like, what's wrong? So I go in and I pay the tab, and I'm like, we need to get out. So I texted my roommate and I'm like, hey, you're taking him home, but you have to wait 5 minutes because I have to go and grab my stuff and tell my parents what's going on. So I drive my friend's car back to my house. She's still on the phone with our other friend. I run inside and I say, here's what's happening. He gave her another panic attack. I'm over it. You're kicking him out of this house and I'm leaving. And so I go back into the car because I can't drive my own car. I have to leave my car at my house because my friend can't drive. And so I drive to her dorm, and our other friend who lives in the same building, who she was on the phone with that whole time, comes upstairs and she's still having a panic attack. And like, those two girls are like my two best friends. So like, I was pissed that he was treating them like that. We call one of the guys who was at the escape room on the phone to update him with what was going on. And at that point, she hadn't stopped crying, and it had been like 3 or 4 hours, and we almost had to take her to the hospital. And so finally she calms down enough and she goes and tells her RA. And so now I gotta backtrack because I forgot some information. Before we left to go to the bar, the guy lost his wallet. And so he kept trying to look for it, blah, blah, blah. Didn't care about me, only wanted my friend to help him look for it. And so Faith had to pay for his stuff at the bar. And he was gonna pay her back, but he kept paying her on Zelle, and we don't have Zelle. It doesn't work with our banks. And so she had explained this to him before. Weeks later, sends her the money on Zelle. Whatever. But we get back to the dorm, and this is where we almost have to take her to the hospital. She calls her RA, and there's now an alert out with our campus security for him because we don't know where this guy is. He tried to text all of my other friends before texting me, asking what was going on. I finally get a text from him, and I'll put it up on the screen. Like, we're not together, why are you saying this to me? But I get a text from my mother, and she said that that guy Ubered out back to Indianapolis. And we're thinking, how is he gonna get on a plane because he doesn't have an ID? But at this point, I could not care less because he treated my friends awfully. And it's been a couple weeks now, and I'm trying to block it out of my memory, but I had to say it one more time for the YouTube video, and I have to listen to myself say it because I have to edit this video. This video might not be very well edited just because I don't want to deal with this anymore. But yeah, I blocked him on everything, so I don't know, like, what the situation is, if he got back okay, and frankly, I don't care because you don't treat my friends like that. But work. Don't even want to say if you enjoyed this video because this is literally the craziest story ever. And now I am single, not ready to mingle with guys. This might have turned me full lesbian. I don't think it has because I still want to marry Timothy Chalamet with all of my heart. But I think unless I know a guy personally, I'm not going to get in a relationship with a guy for a very long time. I think if I date again anytime soon, it will be a female because guys suck a lot. But yeah, that is the story. I'll see you in the next video.